All right, we're gonna give it a shot. Hopefully, I have a semi-stable, connection. I'm listening to a Catholic apologist go over his response to Dan McClellan, who is a biblical scholar who I've referenced a few times. I have used him as a source when responding to some of Corey's videos that I have watched. Anyway, he's a biblical scholar. I am not sure all of the languages he is fluent in. Okay, this one I need to still try to do. It's going to take a while. Anyway, so it's interesting. It's interesting listening to an apologist. It's kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend so far, because McClellan mostly responds to Protestant, evangelical, evangelical types. So basically anybody that's not Catholic. And hold on, do I need to drown. Okay. Yes. Hold on. We're replanning. Because I know how to knock this one out quickly. I think. Anyway, it's interesting because I think this guy, Trent, I think he is of the opinion that Dan is more antagonistic towards Protestants, and so it's they're more on the same side than they are opposed. Now, I'm being very loose with that interpretation, just to be clear. I'm not saying that is Trent's position, but through the first 10 minutes or so, he seems appreciative that Dan is a little bit more critical of Protestants than he seems to be. Where's the alarm clock? Oh, it's right. Then he seems to be of Catholics. I obviously don't think there is any more value to Catholicism than to Christianity, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, it's interesting because, to his credit, Trent is making fair points. Like, a lot of evangelicals do not interpret the Bible accurately. And yeah, I mean, that's true. A lot of Christians have a really misguided idea of what's in the book, right? Again, not even talking about right, wrong, true, untrue. Just talking about, do you actually know what it is you even are claiming you believe, right? What you represent that you believe to people. Do you actually know what is in there? Because it is a sad but true that a lot of people don't. and they're not necessarily encouraged to know. This is something that's been bothering me recently, and I've talked about this a few times. My parents, I love dearly, and they're both very smart people, but they are committed fundamentalists, right? We are biblical literalists, and I can't ask the sorts of questions that I think are good questions, right? Not necessarily questions that would be, I don't know, like sneaky, right? I'm not like I'm trying to do a gotcha, even, but just like reasonable questions that even a Christian might have about, oh, god damn it, about things in the Bible that don't make sense or are like clearly wrong. If your position is easy to defend and you have confidence in your arguments, then you should welcome questions. I mean, I think that's true, right? I don't know that I am. I don't need to climb through the window. I can just open the door. I don't know that I'm perfect about that myself. Probably I'm not. There are probably positions I have that I am not readily able to, really defend. I don't know. But I try to seriously investigate things and follow the logical conclusion. Let's go ahead and get this guy now. Oh. Lady, I need you to hit the brakes. Okay. Now we can deal with this. Oh my fucking god. This goddamn lady. I don't even need to do the silent assassin. It's just force of habit. I just like to do it clean when I can. Anyway, it's just frustrating that I know if I pursue a line of questioning, say, it will result in unpleasantness. And it's totally understandable that you would be upset about having your deeply held values questioned. But it's frustrating that there is no willingness to engage, I think. I think that's the frustration, is like you're not willing to honestly consider these questions because of how negatively they will impact your religion. No, God, fuck, oh my God. Oh my God, she's at the window again. This lady has nothing to do. She just lives here. Okay, but at least now I'm not trespassing. All right. That's better. I'm going... Well, sure, I'll take that. Boy, fortunate timing. Go ahead and prepare that. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in there. And then we wait for way too long for him to actually eat. Because he has to go all the way over there now. Bottle. I'm going to see about that bottle. Excuse me. Thank you. I don't even need this. I do need to get a durian. I don't remember where the durian is. Do I get credit for unlocking this torture? Yeah, I do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I don't need any of this stuff. I'm just picking it up because I am a klepto. Agent 47, if it's not nailed down, it's coming with me. I will also take that. Thank you. You look like you've had plenty. I also realize it can sound a little bit like, I don't know, new atheisty to be like, these Christians, they just won't investigate. They just won't ask the hard questions. And frankly, I think a lot of atheists don't ask hard questions. You know, they don't really investigate claims to see whether they make sense. They just assume they don't make sense. And look, while that is, oh yeah, I'm not trespassing here, fair in some respects, it's also dishonest intellectually, right? And so I don't really truck with that. So I'm not saying that nobody knows how to have a civil disagreement anymore. I dislike that sort of reasoning, and I don't agree with it. But I do know there are some people who are afraid to engage with arguments that they might not be able to beat. Because, look, even if you do real serious, like, biblical research and, you really look into stuff, you can only really answer some questions with God. Well, God said. That's why, right? Why is it wrong to be gay? Well, God said so. There's no proof that being gay is morally any worse or worse for society or negatively impacts society, but it's different, and the Bible says it's wrong. And so it's wrong. They invent all kinds of reasons to try and scientifically justify why the Bible's right, but none of them have been shown to mean anything, right? You can't say it's not genetic or it is genetic. You can't really prove that. You can't say that there are higher instances of, how would we put it, socially undesirable behavior among homosexuals. So it's just, we don't like it, and the Bible says it's wrong, and so we are just going to accept that, right? That's more of the problem I have. Because what's interesting to me, anyway, is there durian in here, maybe? There's a decent amount of of stuff in the Bible that people will attribute to being like of the time, right? Oh well, that was then, huh? Interesting reflection of the lights, kind of freaking out. That was a different time, and it was whatever. It was right then. It was okay then. It was wrong then, but it isn't now. Um, the the idea that women have to cover their heads in church is still followed in some parts of the world. It's definitely observed in India. India's a big country. It's definitely observed in the part of India I was with the religious group I was with. So it may not be entirely representative of the 1.5 billion people. But the Indian Christians I met did follow the head covering, which really, that how different is that from, say, hijab, right? I don't think it's different. We just don't do it in America, but it's in the Bible that you're supposed to cover your head in church, and most people today say that is of the time. It's just it was because the way the religion worked in Corinth, the religious priestesses that had their heads uncovered, and so you're supposed to set yourself apart. The cultural differences, right? That's the justification, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm 100% fine with that. Who cares? Cover your head, don't cover your head. It probably was cultural, and if that's something that is particularly important, then whatever. But I don't think it matters. It says you should raise your hands to worship, right? You go to any white church, and you are not going to really see that. Now, my mom does raise her hands quietly, because she doesn't want to be demonstrative, but she does raise her hands in church because she thinks that it's in there and I should do it, even if I feel uncomfortable or demonstrative for doing it. So I give her full credit for that. But most people don't do that, and most people would say, well, that was maybe that was then, or it was for that church. And so that stuff is relative, right? That's cultural, and it is up to the interpreter, right? You don't have to do that. But being gay, well, that has nothing to do with culture. That's just always been wrong and will always be wrong. I didn't bring the seeker. Damn it. Well, it's going to be a little harder to... Actually, no, it's fine because they turn around. And a little push. Does that count as a drown? Listen, I'm gonna restart this. It does not seem like that counted as a drown. Nope. Okay, so we just wasted a bunch of time. Okay, so that is not a drowning kill. Let's start up here. I think there's a crowbar up there. So bring this one. course. And then I'm going to bring that because that gives me lethal poison as well as a knife, which is pretty useful, I think. Alright, I'm going to listen to some more of Trent. Stop vamping. Okay. That. Give this to him. There you go. And now here is my lethal poison. Now I think I need a crowbar to take that bridge. Let's just go ahead and get this out. It's interesting that that is not suspicious to them at all. Oh yeah, totally normal. This dude just runs up. Kind of looks like he's trying to come across the bridge, but then he just hops over the wall, you know. That's just gonna be a wrench. I need a crowbar. I'm pretty certain that a crowbar is what I need. Oh, but I do want to compete in this. Because I have to win this 4 times for an achievement. Boy, I'm listening to Trent, and I gotta say, some of this feels like cope. It feels very much like a man who is trying to thread some needles. Boom. Got him. All right. I don't know how this works. Oh, okay. Interesting. I just have to button mash. Wham! Alright. Cooked him. Now I have to win 3 more. And it's time for me to button mash. This guy can't take it. Yeah, why don't you go get whacked in the face? I look dapper. Okay, so do I get to just slap him first every time? Boy. Alright. Man. He is like a... It's like a train. Listen. This blank look is because of the Botox. It's very rude of you to bring it up. Whack! Here we go. Boom. Did I freeze my hand or something? Come on, Noel. Come get some. Oh, you want another taste? Okay. Man, I got you once. I wouldn't have come back for a second time. Okay. Me? Can I help you? Would you like to come be a member of my paramilitary organization? I think I will. I'm going to go get my water, and I'll be right back. Boy, really, really a rough. Yeah, fine. Skirting some legal boundaries is an interesting way to describe what he does. Okay, fine. Can we... Okay, so... Let me think here. It's not giving me... Okay, so it didn't save after the slapping contest. Is this gonna give me is this gonna give me a solo, or do I need to set the kill up first? Well, I'm gonna try this. They're going to... Okay. Nope. It did not... Interesting, I completed a challenge. But... must have been one of the feats. Okay. So now I need to start here. Okay. So, here's what I need to do first. Okay. So, start a leak. Now we have to do it again. Come on. Wrap it up. Oh. All right. Here we go. We're just gonna sit here and tap. Just mashing A. Got him. Blah, blah, blah. All right. One more. All right. One more. Now we continue to wait. Like, I like the mission stories. I think it's good. And it's fun, but sometimes it just takes a while to get to the point. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll hit you again too. You're not gonna like it. Yeah. I was correct. Is there gonna be another person? So I've taken out 5 people now. Oh, yep. Come on. Yes, I am. Now let's go over so that you can find out for yourself that smoking kills. I really wish my walking speed would either match his. Some games do it where they will match your walking speed to the person you're escorting or following. Hitman does not do that, which means you can really fuck yourself if you're not careful. All right, we're gonna stand over here. Smoke away, sir. Looking for in the food warehouse in a crate. You got it, boss. That's unfortunate. I guess you shouldn't smoke. It's a lesson we learned there. Okay, I'm not going to pick that gun up. Now, there's a durian over here somewhere. It's not in here, but it's like near here. What's this? This is just it. That's not what I needed. I'm looking for a food storage. Where's the food? Nope, not in here. It's fucking just wandering about. Must be this. Yeah, here we go. There it is. All right. Finally. So that's completed that. Now I need to get her with it. And what's the most efficient way to do that? I think... that, and then that. Now, that guy will get sick. And then I will bonk him on the head and take his clothes. Blah. Thank you. I'll go ahead and take this sawed off. Useful thing to have. Excuse me, brother. Alright, this doesn't matter. A crowbar. So now I need to okay, I'm not trespassing in here. What's up, man? Listen, I do not have time to help you. I need, but what I want to do. Hey, what? Okay, that stinks. Hold on. Let's see here. Well, that didn't work. Okay. Where did it save me? Oh my god. That's a long way away. I am just going to quit. And I'm going to call it, I think. Oh, hello. Well, I was about to wrap it up, but I can hang out for a few minutes. Hopefully I'm still streaming. Seems like it's all right. Let's start here. So I'm looking at my family's coming out sometime this summer. So we're trying to plan a trip. And there's some really nice, like pretty nice cabins. I think it might be these. I think this might be the ones. No, it's not. Yeah, so we're gonna go to Rocky for a couple days, I think, and that'll be fun. Well, I know things are not all that positive at the moment, but I hope you are hanging in there. Obviously, I was talking about maybe getting out tomorrow night. Obviously, I don't know. I mean, it might be good for you to just hang out at the house, be by yourself, and have some time to just sort of, experience being by yourself at home for a little bit, since that's not something that happens a lot. But that can certainly lead to unproductive wallowing, which sometimes it's nice to do. I'm not saying saying you need to ignore that. Sometimes it's good to sit with how you feel, but it's not necessarily something you want to set yourself up for. And if you have the night to yourself, you can go eat whatever you want. You can go watch whatever movie you want, right? You don't have to worry about anybody else's tastes or preferences. You can wear whatever you want. Sometimes you need that. when I was growing up, sometimes my dad, for like, usually for her birthday, but sometimes just for like a day off, my dad would get my mom a hotel room at one of the hotels in town so she could go away from being mom and also, school teacher full time, and just have a night to herself. Maybe she would hang out with one of her mom friends from church or go out to dinner. But just to give her a break from the responsibilities of the house. Yeah, I have, as mentioned, I have many frustrations with my father. He is far more reactionary than I appreciate. I really wish we could do something about it. But, that being said, he has always treated my mom with a great deal of respect. He's always treated non-white people, at least as far as I can tell. I don't necessarily know if everybody feels respected, right? That's not something I can necessarily account for, but it's not these. But as far as I can tell, he has always reinforced that people should be treated with respect. And although my parents have a very traditional Christian, parent-led, father-led home, my dad has always been very respectful of my mom. And appreciated that she worked hard to teach us. I was very smart. I was not motivated really most of my time in school. That's Pikes Peak. That's not what we want. Yeah, so I have inherited some of that. I credit many of the look, the bar is low. The bar is low for men. I know this. The fact that I'm able to clear the bar, I hope, fairly regularly for my partner, is largely to do with how my dad treated my mom. There are times when it's like I can tell that what I'm doing is something I have saw him do. Well, again, that's great. I'm happy. I don't want to take too much credit, because being better than bums, it doesn't mean you're that much better. But I do try. I do try to be thoughtful. Man, there's some place they've got 3-bedroom, because my mom and dad and sister and her husband are coming out. And it's not this one. But we're thinking we will stay up in Estes for a day or two so that we can go hiking. But also we can cook out. We can grill on the back patio and just kind of hang out. Because the point, I live, 1,000 miles, 1,500 miles away from where my parents are now. So it's kind of difficult to get together. So when we do, we are trying to, it's sort of like don't go on a date with someone new to a movie, right? Because you might have fun at the movie, but you are not really going to be able to talk very much and get to know the person. So we're trying to not like prioritize um, big activities that take a lot of time away from interacting and more like hang out, which is great, but also very difficult because I love my parents and I cannot talk about very many things, right? Because we don't talk about the fact that Bethany and I don't go to church, and I haven't made it like I haven't covered it with them, but I'm pretty confident they understand or know, right? They don't think that I go to church anymore, and I don't know what they think about my religious beliefs, but they definitely do not think that we agree, right? I am far too woke and liberal. Even if you point to stuff that's in the New Testament about how you should take care of people, it's still kind of too liberal. But that's what they really care about, right? As frustrating as it is, like they're not fake Christians. They're not just going through the motions, going to church because you do that when you're in the country club, or they're serious. My dad wanted to be a missionary, and we've done a good deal of mission work in my life. More short-term stuff. So like they are really serious about it, and and that's what they prioritize. So like it's not a good look to criticize it. But they want to talk about that. We can't talk about politics, even though, you know, I was looking this morning. Brent crude is over $100 a barrel. It might be down to like 90, 99 right now, but live, yeah, it's 90, 99.12. Crude is 94.56. So like we started a war. We bombed a school of elementary age girls. Like these are the sorts of things that you would like to think you could talk about and to be on the same page. And I have no confidence that would not start a fight, right? So it is what it is. It'll be nice to hang out. We will talk about Colorado. We will talk about sports. My sister's doing an Ironman next month, so we'll talk about that. And maybe, possibly get my mom to try cannabis, which would be fun. Don't know. She has suggested an openness to it in a legal state, right? Where so one of my mom's big concerns is my mom does a lot of like volunteering, and she works with this thing called John 3:17, which is in Newport, Arkansas, which you've never heard of. It's irrelevant. It's a town of like 600 people. But it's a ministry that was started by a guy whose daughter got addicted to meth. And basically the idea, it's a year-long deal. And it is, look, I have my issues with religious-based addiction care, right? I think those are pretty reasonable concerns. But the judges in the area really like John 3:17. And so for a lot of the women, because it's 3:17 is women only. They have a brother program for men, but it's a year long. And if you finish, In some cases, I don't know. I don't know if I'll say many, but in a number of cases, substantially, you can get your record expunged. Not just you can. You don't have to go to prison, right? Because you were going to prison. They had a girl who was looking at 150 felonies. I don't know how her case turned out, but I mean, we are talking about, a lot of them are going to be possession of meth, dealing of meth, and sex work, right? That's going to be the bulk, I think. I realized that this background picture is not interesting to look at. I think this is the cabins we were looking at. There's a fireplace, which won't matter too much because it'll be June. But they have a back porch. They've got a grill. There's a hot tub. Again, I don't know that the hot tub is going to get used. Although, if we do a lot of hiking, it might be nice. My eyes are up here. Anyway, I don't remember where we were before I got. Oh, we were talking about the John 3:17. So these women, in lots of cases, can get their records expunged, which is phenomenal, right? I mean, Bethany is a prison abolitionist. I am pretty close, right? I think that we need a pretty good way to deal with people who are incapable of safe behavior, right? Either for themselves or for other people. People with lead poisoning, right? That's the one that comes to mind specifically because there's no treatment and you can't really hold them responsible for their actions because they're brain damaged, right? I mean, they're brain damaged. That's what happens when you get lead poisoned. You can't reverse it, you can't fix it, and your impulse control is totally shot. So I do think we need a plan for how to deal with people who are in that, say, small side category of like criminal behavior. But by and large, I am opposed to the war on drugs. I am opposed to most felony crime, statutes, because I know how they function, right? The conservatives like to argue about the law being colorblind and how all this stuff is, it's not racist. The war on drugs isn't racist. The war on crime isn't racist. Broken windows policing isn't racist. Stop and frisk isn't racist because it's colorblind, right? The language doesn't say black people. It says the cops can do this. And that's true. But, right, it's about application. There are studies on this. You've probably seen them. But the way black children are disciplined in public schools is more severe and more frequent than white children. That's just true. We know that happens. It's the same crimes, right? It's the same disruptive behaviors or the same antisocial behaviors in class or whatever. Maybe not even. Maybe the leash is even tighter than with the white kids. But it's not about the rule specifically. It's about how the rule is enforced and who it's enforced on and how aggressively it's enforced. And so, anyway, all that to say, so much of law enforcement is racist in practice, even if not in text. Because 50 people are applying for a home, right? And somebody's name is LaQuanda. You don't have to admit that you are denying their application because they're likely black, right? And they've proven this because you will have people send in identical applications with ethnic sounding names and white sounding names, and the white sounding names get more callbacks. So you don't have to say that it's because you're racist. You just don't have to tell people why, right? Well, we got a bunch of applications and we didn't rent to you because we got better applications, right? You didn't meet, some of the expectations we had of renters, whatever. You can deny people for whatever. It doesn't have to be racist, even if it is racist. Anyway, so much of the justice system is built on that shit. And it's very frustrating once you start to see it, because the arguments are always kind of the same. It's like, well, listen, it doesn't say anything about race. It's just that black people commit more crimes. That's, racist, incorrect. I've been thinking about this, and I don't think I'm the first person to have this thought. So I'm not taking credit for this originality, but I was talking to Bethany, and we were just sort of lamenting to each other various tragedies that are happening, and I just realized that, like, for conservatives, there are no causes, right? There are just effects. Nothing causes anything. There's just a vacuum, and then there's an outcome. Black people commit petty crimes, and it has nothing to do with, say, systemic discrimination, redlining, oppressive policies that keep people in poverty. We know that poverty leads to crime. They are directly correlated. And so you should be able to go, well, there's a lot of poor people, so there's going to be a lot of crime, and it doesn't really have anything to do with race. But there's no cause to these people. It is just, well, I saw a story about a black person doing a crime, and that's because black people are criminals. Some people say they're genetically predisposed to it. There is no accounting for societal factors, because it's like, well, you should just make a better decision. Sometimes people don't have better decisions to make. I don't know. I'm not going to go too hard. Pretty much, I think if you're poor, who cares? Because rich people, this is certainly not original to me, but crime, it's not crime if you can pay a fine. If you can afford to just be like, oh, I did 130 in a school zone, I'll pay the $600 ticket because I can afford it, then the law doesn't apply to you. Like, literally, it doesn't apply to you. Yeah, I would say it depends on what you're doing in that hot tub. If you are planning to have a romantic weekend, this might not be the spot for it. But a family weekend, that will be fine. I am quite confident nobody in my family will be getting into any shenanigans in that hot tub. But yeah, I think maybe in front of the fireplace would be a better location. We're gonna do a hike. Oh yeah. Well, have fun. Thanks for hanging out. It's been nice to chat, or monologue mostly. I am going to bed. I'm going to try to get a few hours of sleep before this evening. And then next week, Bethany is off for spring break, so that'll be nice. I probably won't stream next week, but it'll be nice for her to get some rest. Okay, have a good session. Lean into the distraction. Chat again soon.